All right, I'm out and about. It's Halloween night, driving around, trying to hunt down whatever it is I gotta destroy in order to break the curse of Castlevania. Wish me luck. My attempts to rid of this curse, where I review Castlevania games every Halloween, failed epically. Failed on this Halloween night. I even took the Master Sword with me, the blade of evil's bane, to free me from this curse, and it didn't do jack crap for me. Well, I'll be looking forward to Castlevania 4 next year for Halloween on the Super Nintendo. Not that it's a bad thing. I like Castlevania. But it seems to be a plague every year that I continue to review Castlevania games every year. Anyways, hey, wait a minute. It's November 1st. You know what that means. We're officially in Zelda month. So, ladies and gentlemen, what a fitting way to transition to the Zelda month with the Master Sword in hand, the blade that gets stuff done. So, as always, get yourself a beverage, sit back, relax, as we are diving into the world of the Legend of Zelda series for our annual Zelda month, and we're kicking it off with the retrospective of Breath of the Wild. Oh yeah, get ready for a calamity. Alright, got myself a beverage after this Halloween. The war rages on for Castlevania. But we're transitioning to the world of Hyrule. The Legend of Zelda is one of my favorite franchises in video game history. I mean, it's right there with Mario, of course. It's right there with Sonic the Hedgehog. But over the years, I fell in love with the Legend of Zelda series. And I've become such a huge fan, as you can tell. The newest edition, let's talk about this sword real quick. Hang on. I know this sword, I got this from a Renaissance festival up in Kansas City area. And there was a shop of swords, and this beautiful sword that cost me a pretty penny for sure. Yeah, it's right. It was about close to $200 for this thing. And it was the one and only I saw up there. And I, by golly, picked this thing up. And yeah, it's such a beautiful craftsman of the Master Sword right here. So it's not sharp at all. It's for sure dull. So, I mean, I'm sure, you can still run this through somebody with that point right there. But, it's not sharp. It's pretty dull. It's more of a prop than anything. But you can check out the engravings on here and such, on the hilt, the design. Definitely excited to have this as part of my Legend of Zelda collection. So, anyways, we're here to talk about the game that took forever to release. And I'm glad it did. I'm so happy it did. It took forever for it to release. In between waiting from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild, the time gap is about 6 to 7 years between two of the console games. And in between, fillers were put in place in the form of Majora's Mask remake on the 3DS. I believe also, I can't remember if Ocarina of Time was in that as well. It probably was dropped around the same time as Skyward Sword. I don't remember or recall that. But you also had the HD edition of Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. Wind Waker is one I've never played still till this day. Eventually, I'm sure, somewhere down the line, I'm going to get to that one. And then you've had like other, 3DS games like A Link Between Worlds, which basically is very similar to A Link. Oh, shoot. I can't remember the title at the top of my head. A Link to the Past. I keep on saying Link Between Worlds again. Oh, goodness. But anyways, there's other random titles thrown in there. So, I mean, the Zelda series has been alive and well during that time period between two big console games. And as much as Skyward Sword has scared a lot of people off with this linear style, the motion controls and such, and even though it was a great game, man, it was a chore to get through. I still haven't completed the HD remake on the Switch. I'm still in the middle of it, actually. And I've had that game for a year now. I like it. It's just, it became a chore over time. We're here to talk about this one right here. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out the same day as the Nintendo Switch release. And also there's a Wii U version out there as well. But I believe this is the superior copy that everybody was looking for. It's like, if you're going to get Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you might as well pick up the brand new Nintendo Switch alongside with it. So this is the launch title for the Nintendo Switch. No Mario game to be in sight at this time either, which is odd for a Nintendo system to come out without a Mario game. Instead, you get the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And the build-up for this thing was insane. All right? I mean, over the years, in between Skyward Sword and this one right here, there has been footage of a Zelda Wii U, or Zelda U is what this was dubbed for a while. And you would see Link and this Guardian battle it out. A bunch of explosions happen, and Link's right on the horse. He launches this ancient arrow right into the eye. Yeah, eat it! Into that Guardian. Yeah. Guardians in this thing don't mess around. They target you and they kill you instantly with their powerful lasers. Yeah, there's robots in this thing. Ancient technology is what it is. From the Sheikah clan, there's so much stuff in this game, packed into this game. And it's no wonder it took so long for this one to come out. And they definitely made sure this was open world exploration for sure. Breath of the Wild is going to take you a good 40 to 60 hours of playthrough if you're into getting to everything, all right? I don't recommend at all going for all the Korok poops or seeds, whatever you want to call it, because pretty much it looks like little golden poops they give you in this game for currency to help expand your inventory as this big old, Hestu creature from the forest dances with rattles. It gets weird at times, sometimes in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But let's start to the beginning, shall we? Let's talk about the beginning of this game. The retrospective that I have of this game. It's been 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. And I still go back to this and play it over and over and over again. This is my #1 Zelda game of all time. Of course, we'll see about that with Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, that might overtake it. We'll see. But anywho, this story, there is a story to the game. There's a lot to this game. The Zelda formula has changed for this one. So what's different about it? When we saw the videos and such of it, man, it was beautiful. Just watching the footage of people sampling it, playing it. Even it made to Jimmy Fallon's, Tonight Show. And I know WWE's Xavier Woods sampled it at one point. And just showing off the game and what it does and the elements of it. And it is just so amazing, so beautiful. The story is this: 100 years ago, a great calamity in the form of Calamity Ganon returned. Yeah, he's now gone to the old Western style of Calamity Ganon. He's firing pistols by his side. No, that's not what it is. Basically, Ganon stopped pretty much regenerating himself, and he's just basically this powerful malice, beastly malice now, that just now is just infecting everything in the Hyrule Kingdom. And Link and a group of champions who are good friends of Link, except for a certain bird. Yeah, that bird is a jerk. Nobody likes that bird. He reminds me of Falco from Star Fox 64. With his attitude, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That That bird right there. That one. Yeah, this bird is a jerk. This Rito is such a jerk. Rivali can just go kick rocks. He thinks he's better than me? But anyways, a great calamity has happened. Ganon revives a lot sooner than everybody expected. And he outsmarts everybody. He infects all the guardians that they were preparing to take out Ganon and all the divine beasts. He infects them too. And then Blight Ganons arise. And next thing you know, all the champions are dead. The King of Hyrule is dead. Zelda is now sealed Ganon away as best as she could. And Link, well, he succumbed to his wounds. And he's put into a slumber for 100 years. Get that. 100 years later, Link awakens, still as young as ever. He didn't age. They must have froze him or something like that. But he's in the Shrine of Resurrection. It took 100 years for Link to awaken to his wounds from battle. Now, all this stuff I explained prior to it, that's cutscenes that you'll see throughout the game. When Link goes around and there's this glowing spots on the ground called memories that he recovers his memories. Link's got amnesia. Yeah, he's got amnesia from the whole events, but he knows that he is destined for a purpose, that he has something special about him, and he knows what he has to do. So you awaken on the Great Plateau, and basically that's the 3 hours of tutorial that you'll be going through, experiencing the mechanics of Breath of the Wild. And instantly, the cameras will always pan to where you need to go. But you have the option to go wherever you want. The problem is, with the Great Plateau, if you try to jump off of it, you're dead. There's fall damage, ladies and gentlemen. There's fall damage, which there's always been fall damage. I don't know why I'm yelling about that. So how do you get off the Great Plateau? Well, the camera points you to this old man, who is actually the deceased King of Hyrule. He's ghostly, y'all. He's ghostly. Yeah, somehow you're going to throw some Halloween bits in here. He's a ghost. But he's walking around. He's cutting trees. He's like he's alive. His ghostly powers have given him powers. Yeah. So anyways, you meet up with this old man. Kind of harkens back to the first Legend of Zelda game where you see that open cave. And then you go in there and he says, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And it's a sword. Well, in this case, you don't get a sword instantly. You basically, whatever's laying around in the land of Hyrule, if you pick up a stick, that's a weapon. If you pick up a rusty sword, that's your weapon. If you pick up a rock, you can throw it. There's all sorts of different types of weapons that you can get. There's halberds, there's axes, there's spears, there's swords, there's claymores, all sorts of weaponry, even elemental weapons that can, you got your great flame sword, your little flame sword, you got ice ones, you got electrical ones, different type of elemental ones that you can pick up. Shields come in different varieties as well, of different designs, strengths, but of course the Hylian shield is there, which you have to find that somewhere deep inside the dungeons of Hyrule Castle to obtain that one. And I haven't yet broken that one. That's right. All weapons and shields are durable. Yeah, they're all durable. So get ready to save your best weapons for whenever the real fight comes. Because if you break a sword in mid-battle, you're screwed at times. Especially if you're like down to your last one and you don't know if you can fight off this Lionel that you encountered in the wild, or this Phoenix that you encountered in the wild, or even the Stone Talus that are out there in the wild. Yeah, there's some boss battles out in the middle of Hyrule planted. And the enemy variety is kind of lacking in the department. You still got your moblins, bokoblins, skeletons and such, Keese, aka bats, and Lizalfos, your common enemies, and they just come in a variety of different colors and strength abilities. Same thing with all the Lionels and such. They come in a lot of different flavors. And the Lionels, again, like Rivali, can go kick rocks. Those things will be your death sentence. If you thought the Guardians were bad, if you encounter a Lionel, especially them silver ones, they're going to knock you on your butt for sure. And the thing about Breath of the Wild is, in the very beginning of Breath of the Wild, the damage is outrageous. Yeah, a lot of times it's one-hit kills. You're dead. You're dead. And if you get gored off a mountainside by a goat, because goats attack you in this game, you're dead, ladies and gentlemen. You're dead. These are the memories I have. This is the retrospective I have of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Weapons break mid-battle. And then, you know what's replaced in dungeons in this one? 120 shrines that you have. They're basically your bite-sized dungeons. That, and a lot of them are puzzle, they're all puzzle-based, all right? Even trying to uncover a shrine in a general area is puzzle-based at times. And sometimes they do, where you go into a shrine, they instantly reward you for going into it, because the task outside of it was daunting enough, so they felt pity for you to just go ahead and give you, hey, here's the item. But also in those shrines, you do obtain a spirit orb that you can, when you collect 4, can either obtain a heart or your stamina meter. Stamina meter is back in this game from, guess where? Skyward Sword! This takes a lot of stuff from different variety of Zelda games. And you'll notice throughout the locations of Hyrule, different areas of Hyrule, it does harken back to a lot, and I mean a lot of nostalgia for the prior Zelda games. Like, even the names of the areas will stick out to you. Some areas of Hyrule will stick out to you like, hey, I kind of recognize that from this game. And that's pretty cool. Lon Lon Ranch is there, but it's a wasteland. Yeah, from Ocarina of Time, it's there. The experience of Breath of the Wild, overall, just in my beginning first stages of gameplay, if based on what I can remember. Based on what I can remember is I spent a lot of hours playing it, and a lot of great memories in the beginning hours of it too. You know, just experimenting with the weapons, experimenting with the types of shields, the different types of gear that you could wear. I mean, there is your traditional Zelda gear, Link gear, I should say, that he gets. It's the Hero of the Wild gear. But you have to get all the shrines completed in order to get that gear. So you got your champion's tunic, which is pretty much displayed in the game case right here. It's kind of dark in tone. Link's missing his hat. He's just got his hair. He's got his traditional pants and boots, you know. He's wielding the Master Sword. The Master Sword in this game, oh my gosh, it's going to kill me! Kind of thing. Because how to obtain the Master Sword, you have to have at least 13 hearts of your life to be able to pull the sword, because if you don't, well, that sword is going to kill you and it's game over, because you have to have that strength and level to be able to pull the sword out without it killing you. So, but the bad thing about the Master Sword in this game, because again, you figure this is, oh, this is the unbreakable weapon. Well, it is, but you're limited on its use. It has to recharge after you use it too much. But when you do encounter like Calamity Ganon or any of the Blight Ganons or any of the Guardians, the sword does perk up and light up to where I believe you could use it unlimitedly until you defeat those enemies, which is great. I think that's how it works. I haven't truly figured that part out just yet. But the Master Sword in itself, you can have a full recharge. You have to get the DLC, which is basically unlocking the Master Sword's full potential. Because that sword, when you get to the game and see some of the footage, that sword is pretty rough looking. It's been beaten down pretty bad, damaged pretty bad. So it's one of those things that the Master Sword takes a lot of health damage over time, and it has to stop and rest to recharge. Fee, what are you doing? Come on now. Anywho, but again, the land is massive. From what you can see out in the distance, you could literally go to that location. That's how big this game is. It is a massive, massive game, and just there's ways you could travel to teleport. You get the hang glider after you complete the Great Plateau area, and to be able to get off of that rock. And of course, the old man reveals himself to be the king of Hyrule and points you in the direction to go to the Kakariko village. So you'll have some recognizable areas. You'll have some new areas to explore. Gerudo Valley and Desert is there. And all its glory. And even Death Mountain and the Gorons there, the Zoras in Zora's Domain. You have the Rito in there, where Rivali's from. He's such a jerk. And just all sorts of tribes and people that you'll meet throughout the game. The people that you encounter through the game. And it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. And like the story goes for this game, the story is there. It just really takes a back seat at times because it's basically up to you on how you want to progress. It's up to you on how you want to play this game. You know, do you want to go straight to Hyrule Castle? Because you can. You can absolutely go straight to Hyrule Castle. Get ready for the fight of your life if you do, because you're going to get your head blown off. You can unlock all the divine beasts if you want. Or do a couple. It's totally up to you. You can do all the shrines or not. Again, it's totally up to you on how you want to proceed. But the ultimate goal and destination is to get to Calamity Ganon and to defeat him and to free Hyrule. That's pretty much it. And rescue Princess Zelda, of course. So Breath of the Wild is a simplistic story, really. I mean, it's interesting how you take a 100-year slumbering Link in the Shrine of Resurrection to awaken with amnesia, but knows he has a purpose, and over time recovers his lost memories when you come across them, and the people you encounter who have aged since they're over 100 years old. Like Impa, she was there 100 years ago, and she's still alive 100 years later. She's well over 100 years. A lot of these characters are well over 100 years that you encounter. But anywho, that's kind of my overview, my retrospect of Breath of the Wild. I don't want to get into all the nitty-gritties. There's a lot of film, theories out there and such on the internet as it is about the Zonine people, the missing race. I'm sure we'll get into that in Tears of the Kingdom and the sequel coming out in May 2023 and all sorts of other nostalgic things that are in Breath of the Wild. But I just want to get to the main part of it based on my personal experiences of encountering certain areas of Breath of the Wild in my beginnings. It kind of give you just a summary of this game. This game is well worth the playthrough. It is well worth your time. It is well worth the energy to put into it if you're big into open world exploration games and especially a fan of the Legend of Zelda games. I love this game. It's just magnificent. The combat style you could have in there. Link actually can jump in this game, which is amazing. And, the different variety of weapon trees that you have. There's even elemental arrows. I forgot to mention that. And just the different types of puzzles and shrines you encounter. The enemies, the battles, the parry attacks you could do. And, they're even where you can, effectively, dodge a move and kind of go into like a Matrix thing where you go slow down time and just rampantly attack enemies. I love that. I love that element about this game. But with that being said, for our first entry of the Legend of Zelda series of the Breath of the Wild game, I may do more about this in an upcoming video. But I have other things I got to get into with those Zelda series. So with that being said, this has gone on long enough. Happy Zelda month, everybody. We're on our way to Christmas season and Thanksgiving season. Stay safe out there and take care.